Love and light to you from all of the many heavens, Archangel Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel. Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Alura, Cein here with another great video full of information, and a lot of these spiritual teachings were actually brought to mind through a lot of questions that some of my viewers sent in, which I thought was really great because I need a lot of interaction. I believe that all of you have a lot of questions and a lot of learning to do still. So if you have any spiritual questions that you'd like to have answered, send them to the link below in the description and I will include them in another video. So the first question that I had to do with transcendental souls and infinite souls. And another viewer had also written in about soul types. And then I noticed that this was all going back to something called the Michael teachings. And the Michael teachings, that's pretty wonderful. It's great stuff. And you can definitely grow and use that in order to enhance your understanding of the development stages of souls. I always like to use my own terminology though. So that's where I'm at with this video. I want to kind of explain what they're basically saying in my own terms of how I understand it to be from the teachings that I have learned from Archangel Michael and the other angels as well. So I don't usually refer to souls as transcendental or infinite because I feel that all souls are transcendental and infinite. But there are soul ages. We know that. We have infant souls, which are really just beginners. They're souls that were just newly made, separate from their source, and sent out to have experiences. They all have a little bit of a programming to start with, and then they incarnate into a physical body at some point or the other in order to understand this environment and take that wisdom with them, and it helps them to grow. Earth is one of the hardest environments to have an experience in, and that goes back to the levels of difficulty in the contracts and what I was talking about in my last videos. Some people choose easy, some choose medium, some choose difficult. The more difficult a life is, the more wisdom, the more experience that they gain from the hardships and the obstacles. So that's why a lot of souls have decided to come to Earth, because they want that wisdom and that knowledge. They want to understand exactly what they're growing for. Why are the humans on Earth suffering? What is needed to make a difference there? You can never obtain the answer without first living it. So many souls come here. Some new souls decide to come here because, hey, if I live a harder life and it's a little bit more difficult in the material plane, it'll help me advance a little bit further and I can go forward. Some souls already have infinite wisdom and knowledge, and they decide to come and settle here in order to use that to teach others. So that brings us back to one of the other questions that I had, which was in regard to soul types. So these aren't really soul types. Soul types are more like incarnated angelics, star seeds, otherworldly souls. But there is something called roles and functions. And throughout these teachings, which is what this viewer wanted to know, is it true? Are there really these functions? Yes, there are teacher souls. We have souls that are students learning. We have souls that are here just to be creative. We have those that have like a royal energy that are here to kind of be the leaders or be very pampered by the environment around them. We have the artists that give us different perceptions to the reality that we're in, different ways of looking at it. We have philosopher souls that are here to kind of make you think in different terms. So there are different roles or functions, but those roles and functions are not the actual soul type. It does play a big role in it, but the soul type is, what are you? What are you right now at this point in your journey? Have you ascended throughout all of your experiences and become an angelic human? Or were you created as an angelic right from the start? Because there were some souls that were created, well, not some, but very, very many, that were created as an angelic to begin with. they were made to kind of oversee everything that was going to branch out and expand throughout the universe after them. So they were placed in charge of that. But a lot of those legions of souls, of angelic souls up there in the heavens, the higher heavens, decided that, there were some things that were on a negative vibration, and they saw that some of the souls that were experienced the other side of negative vibrations, that they were not handling it very well. They weren't comprehending the purpose of it. So they sent others down, some of themselves, the angels, to come down and teach and show people in this environment here how to expand their mind and to see the truth, how to awaken, so to speak. So those souls will have had to have been born awakened to do so, because otherwise they're just in the same exact situation as the souls that they came here to teach. They have to learn, they have to develop and reawaken all over again, and that's just going to prolong the process. So we have souls that were created at a higher dimension and degree with more wisdom and knowledge, because they're closer to source, being created after that, they come with an awakening. So they have the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding. They're not know-it-alls. I mean, they still have to experience all of the different creations and places, but they have the knowing of who they are, what they came to do, their spiritual abilities or tools that they have to use to get there, and what the first step is to get there. And they're not going to be perfect. They're in a human body. They're going to make mistakes along the way. But as long as they have that awakening or that knowing, then that's really all that they need in order to fulfill the purpose or function when the time is right, when the divine order calls it. So the baby souls are basically here to learn. They're here to begin the process of soul development. And then we have souls that have already been created at the maximum degree, or those that have already went through development and learned, to where they come back to teach the baby souls. So we're all helping one another in this environment to understand duality, because let's face it, they say that there is no duality. There is duality. We have light and darkness. You can't have one without the other. It is necessary. But it's how people experience that darkness that counts. It doesn't have to be evil or hateful or unbalanced. People can see how mistakes can help them to grow and to use that instead of taking it so innerly to where it brings them down. So Earth was a special place made where people could use it as a school to understand the negative concepts and to learn from it by applying both positive and negative together to reach a development stage of awakening eventually. So that brought me to the next question that my viewer had in regards to the subject was, well, if souls incarnate, at what point in time do they incarnate? Is it in the womb or when they take their first breath? So I thought that was a really good question. Excuse me. I really got allergies. It's horrible this summer. It's so humid out here in New Jersey. But yes, souls will already have an original programming from the egg, because in the mother, the genetic program is there. Then when the egg is fertilized, the father's part of his programming comes in and they join together to make a whole new program. So the soul itself, the original soul program, comes down and incarnates into the programming that was made as a foundation for this soul to come down and incarnate. So you would need a developed child to be able to do so. And that is why most souls incarnate about 10 weeks into conception, because everything is just fusing together and becoming whole, to where the two programs come together as one to lay as a foundation for that soul to come down. So they pick their parents, they pick the programming, the foundation, they make these contracted agreements in the soul contract, and then they incarnate. And that foundation that's laid there, the two programs from both parents that fuse together as one, that is what is called the ego. The ego is so that that soul can function in this environment. And that's why a lot of spiritual teachers, such as myself too, talk about spiritual DNA and regular DNA, because there is a foundation of codes, and then there's a spiritual code for the higher self and the ego, so that they can meet and work together as one to function here. But what happened is a lot of people lost track and lost sight of their main spiritual program, the original spiritual program that came down in the incarnation process, and have just been living lost in just that foundation, that ego program instead. And many people have not had that ability to go through the stages of soul development because of that. And that's kind of how the world is today. It's kind of lost in the ego program, not gaining access to that original soul. So that's a very important thing. That's what the awakening is for other souls. Souls that have come awakened already will lead them to that, to work through the ego to get to the original program. You don't have to get rid of the ego entirely. You do need it to function here, but you should deactivate some of it to where you allow your original soul program to come through as well, to work together as one, to have the understanding of this world around you. So those were very good questions. I hope that you understand my answers to them. I think that the Michael teachings are a very great place to start in learning, and basically explains what I'm trying to say anyway, but I have my own point of view and my own expression of it based on my own firsthand experience of being an awakened individual when I came here. But I'm not going to dismiss somebody else that also has that knowledge and wisdom. So if you guys want to check it out, take a look. I'll also put the link in the bottom for you. And I hope that you are learning everything that you need to learn while you're here. If there's any more spiritual questions, hit the link below where my spiritual questions and answers link is, and I'll include them in the next video. We can try to cover as much ground as we can for all of you out there and everything that you're seeking inside. Just know any negative questions or comments will be automatically disregarded. This is for the development of the soul, which this video is about, so people can grow and finally get out of this funk that they've been in, living here in this reality on that ego foundation, kind of lost and seeking, and everybody can work together to finally get planet Earth where it needs to be. So I wish you all love and light always and forever. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and support my channel.